Okay, let's unpack this.
Hmm.
There's been something pretty significant happening on the Nairobi Securities Exchange lately,
Yeah, definitely catching attention.
and it involves a company, well, most of us know it very well, Safaricom.
Hard to miss that one.
Exactly. So just a few months back, Safaricom shares were, hovering around Ksh 15. That's Kenyan shillings,
Right,
obviously.
that was the low point everyone was talking about.
And now, fast forward to, well, basically now, and we've seen that price really surge. It's pushed past Ksh 25.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here, digging into the sources, is just how fast that change happened.
Right.
Going from 15 bob to over 25. I mean, that represents a return of more than 66%
66%.
in a really, really short time frame. It's quite a powerful signal from the market.
Absolutely. A 66% plus return, like you said, in just months. You just don't see that every day.
Not with a giant like Safaricom, usually.
So our mission today for this deep dive is to really get into what this jump, this move from Kj 15 to over Kj 25, what it actually means.
For the company, for the investors.
And importantly for you, the listener, we're pulling all these insights directly from that stack of sources you shared with us.
Right. Let's get into it.
So let's start with this dramatic comeback story.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
From that low point around Krush 15, where the sources suggest confidence was, let's say, shaky.
Uh-huh. Investors were definitely nervous. Things like, the big Ethiopia entry.
Exactly. But we've seen a huge shift in sentiment since then, leading to this rally past 25.
A definite turnaround.
So what do the sources really pinpoint as the key drivers behind this rapid change?
Well, the material seems to lay out a few distinct things. Firstly, there's just a clear sign of increased investor confidence.
Okay.
It's flowing back into the market, and specifically towards Safaricom.
Okay, but confidence, I mean, it doesn't just appear from thin air, right?
No, exactly.
What actually changed to spark that belief again, according to the sources?
That's where the specifics come in. A major point that's highlighted is the progress and maybe the perceived growth in the M-PESA rollout over in Ethiopia.
Ah, okay. So that venture, that seemed like a big question mark.
Precisely. It was seen as a pretty significant financial risk, potentially a drag on earnings.
Mm-hmm.
But the sources suggest it's now being seen differently, more like a potential contributor to future growth down the line.
Interesting. So what looked like the big expansion worry is maybe starting to look like it might actually pay off.
That seems to be the shift in perception, yes.
Yeah.
The market appears to be sort of reevaluating that risk.
Okay, what else?
Additionally, the sources mention a stabilization, things settling down in Kenya's core digital economy,
Right.
which, provides that solid, reliable base for Safaricom's main operations.
The home turf is strong.
Exactly. And then there's another factor that, well, always appeals to the market. Hints, or maybe just anticipation, of future dividends.
Ah, the dividends.
Always important, definitely. Safaricom has a really strong history of rewarding shareholders, and that expectation, that sort of promise, factors into how attractive the stock looks.
So, okay, let's recap that. You've got the bedrock Kenyan market holding steady,
Hmm.
the massive Ethiopia expansion risk looking less like a problem, maybe more like an opportunity.
Right, the narrative is shifting.
And then the reliable promise of dividends. That really does sound like a strong foundation for a rally.
Yeah. It really helps explain that shift in perception, from caution to, well, more optimism.
It suggests those maybe structural concerns that were weighing the stock down.
Uh-huh.
Investors are now looking at them through a more positive lens.
That's what the sources seem to indicate, yes.
Okay, but let's zoom out a bit from the stock charts for a second.
Sure.
What do the sources say this rally actually means for, everyday Kenyans? Maybe someone who doesn't own a single share?
Right.
This movement still affects things beyond the trading floor, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. This isn't just walled off for investors.
Yeah.
When a company that's so integral to the economy, like Safaricom, experiences this kind of, well, resurgence, the sources suggest it has real, tangible implications for customers, for the broader public.
How so? What kind of benefits are mentioned in the material?
Well, the material points towards potential pluses like, say, increased investment in infrastructure,
Okay, like network upgrades.
potentially leading to faster internet speeds, yeah, and maybe an accelerated rollout of new M-PESA features and services.
Right.
The thinking is a financially stronger, growing company simply has more capacity, more resources to invest back into making its core services and technology better.
And presumably that investment includes things like customer experience, too.
That's certainly the expectation outlined. As Safaricom grows and, solidifies its position, the sources imply there'll be a continued focus on improving service quality
Hmm.
and expanding what they offer to meet customer needs, keep that market leadership. It's basically a signal that Kenya's biggest brand is investing in its future.
And by extension, its customers. Okay, so potential for better services, more innovation, maybe smoother experiences. Are there any potential downsides or things to watch out for that the sources mention? Anything on the other side?
Well, the immediate focus in the sources is definitely on the positive side,
Right.
the growth, the investment.
Right.
But there is a brief mention, kind of a footnote almost, about the possibility that, some services might become more premium or tiered over time.
Ah, okay. As they try to monetize new features.
Yeah, or just maintain profitability as things evolve. It's flagged as something, maybe worth monitoring down the road. But the emphasis right now is definitely on the benefits coming from this renewed strength.
Got it.
Now, shifting gears a bit. If you are someone who was watching Safaricom shares,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you even bought in when they were down near that Creation 15 mark,
Yeah.
then, as the sources kind of put it, this is the juicy part, at 66% plus gain. I mean, that's a significant win by any standard.
It really is remarkable. So for those investors who maybe saw that opportunity, the immediate question becomes, well, what now?
Exactly.
The sources touch on the different paths forward here.
Yeah, this brings up that classic investment dilemma. It's discussed right there in the material.
Yeah.
Do you hold on? Hold on to your shares, maybe aim for further gains, perhaps towards Careers 30, maybe even higher. Or do you decide, okay, time to sell. Lock in that, frankly, very impressive profit you've already made.
Right. Take the win.
Or there's a third option mentioned. Maybe wait. Perhaps hope for a temporary dip, a slight pullback to maybe buy more, increase your holding.
And there's really no single right answer here, is there? The sources emphasize it depends entirely on your own situation.
Absolutely. Your personal financial goals, your timeline, how comfortable you are with risk, it all plays in.
Makes sense.
And the sources also remind us, don't forget the dividend aspect.
Ah, yes, back to the dividends.
Safaricom, as we said, has that track record, consistent dividend payments. And that adds an ongoing return for people who choose to just hold the stock long term. That expectation of continued dividends, it's definitely baked into the current market feeling, the sentiment.
Okay. And what about for someone who maybe isn't invested yet, but they've been watching this movement, from the sidelines and maybe feeling that spark of curiosity about the market now?
Well, this tangible success story,
Hmm.
it can actually be a really powerful educational moment.
How so?
The sources highlight that understanding market dynamics
Yeah.
through concrete examples like this Safaricom rally.
Hmm.
It's a key step towards building financial literacy.
Ah, okay. Seeing it in action.
Exactly. Seeing how factors like, company performance, expansion success or failure, investor sentiment,
Yeah.
how all that directly translates into share value.
Mm-hmm.
That can really motivate someone to learn more about how the whole market works and maybe, just maybe, take their first steps into investing themselves. It sort of demystifies the process a bit.
Right. It makes it less abstract.
Precisely.
But this isn't just about the price of one stock, is it? Even a stock as important as Safaricom.
No, definitely not.
What does this performance, this whole story documented in the sources, tell us about the wider economy, the market landscape in Kenya generally?
It really tells a story of returning confidence, I think, on a larger scale.
Okay.
Safaricom carries such significant weight on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Its strong performance inevitably has a ripple effect.
So it acts as a kind of a bellwether
Yeah.
for broader market sentiment.
That's a really good way to put it, yeah. Its recovery signals that maybe a more positive outlook is starting to prevail after, a period of uncertainty we saw earlier.
Mm.
The sources also seem to underscore something pretty fundamental, just how central technology and digital services are becoming to Kenya's economy.
Right. You can't ignore that.
Safaricom's success, especially through platforms like M-PESA, it really highlights that digital innovation is, arguably becoming one of Kenya's most valuable drivers for growth, for impact.
And beyond those direct economic indicators, the sources also connect this kind of market understanding back to, individual financial empowerment.
Yes, absolutely. Knowing why major companies like Safaricom behave the way they do on the market, understanding the drivers, the implications, that's presented as a crucial piece of building your own financial awareness.
Seeing the bigger picture.
It's about seeing those connections
Yeah.
between market movements and the real economy that affects everyone.
Because fundamentally, when a company of this size and influence is doing well, performing strongly, it lifts more than just the individual investors holding the stock.
Exactly right. Its health and growth contribute to the performance of, large institutional investors, pension funds,
Yeah.
SICOs.
Right. Those savings and credit cooperatives.
Yes, and other collective investment schemes people are part of. Its success really underpins a significant chunk of the broader financial ecosystem,
Mm-hmm.
and that contributes to overall economic stability, potentially growth, that benefits many, many people.
So, okay, we've really unpacked this rapid comeback story for Safaricom shares.
From the lows to the recent highs.
Yeah. Looked at the specific reasons the sources identify for that pretty impressive surge.
The Ethiopia factor, dividends, core market.
And talked about what that movement means, not just for investors, but importantly for you as an everyday Kenyan interacting with their services, and also for the broader economic picture.
That's a really compelling example, isn't it, of how quickly market sentiment can shift
Definitely.
and how those underlying fundamentals, those perceived risks, can be completely reevaluated by the market, leading to these, dramatic price movements.
So now, having taken this deep dive with us into the source material, the question really flips back to you, the listener.
Time for reflection.
Where do you stand in relation to this whole story? Were you someone watching this movement, from KRH 15 up past KRH 25 with interest?
Yeah, were you following along?
Are you maybe thinking now about what this specific example reveals about the market generally and how that applies to your own financial awareness? Whether you're, already invested somewhere or perhaps are just starting to explore how all these things work.
Let this specific rally, this story, maybe be a point of reflection. How does understanding these kinds of dynamics add to your own personal financial literacy?
Yeah, think about what you've maybe learned or had reinforced here today. What potential future actions or maybe just further questions does this knowledge inspire for you as you navigate your own financial world?